The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, The Right Side. Doug Billings here with you today. Folks, today let me start with something that doesn't trend. It doesn't go viral. It doesn't fill a headline of any kind. But it's the place where a republic actually lives. And I'm talking about standards. Standards right now, everything in American public life is moving faster than the systems designed to keep it honest. It seems like it's just moving so fast. Now, in some ways, things seem like they're just taking forever. Like it takes a long time for us to arrive at justice and so forth. So that's because we see things going on around us. You know, funding fights in Congress, criminal referrals coming down through Congress, document drops on the internet, viral claims, screenshots that feel like verdicts, but they're not because they lack proper proof and corroboration. But people run and jump to conclusions anyway about them. So today, instead of picking a team, I want to give you a tool, something that you can use not only in seeking wisdom, but something that you can use on any headline that you see in the news or on the internet, no matter whose name appears in the headline. So I'll begin with a word that you've been hearing everywhere lately, again, right? And that word is shutdown. A partial government shutdown was announced today, the headline. It doesn't mean that the lights are going to go out in Washington, D.C. It doesn't mean that the Constitution stops working. It means that Congress has not passed funding authority for specific parts of the federal government. Fair enough. But that's not a bug in the system, ladies and gentlemen. That is the system. It is the system that the Founding Fathers designed. In America, the government doesn't run on good intentions. It runs on appropriations. Congress controls the money. And money is how the people's branch holds the system accountable. So when funding stalls or is stopped, what you're watching is not chaos. You're watching leverage. One of the biggest pressure points in this fight is immigration enforcement, right? The Department of Homeland Security, ICE, border operations, all of that. And that is not accidental. Because immigration isn't a policy question. It is a definition of the country question. So here's the tension. One side says, well, we need to change how the law is carried out. The other side says, the law is written. We have it. So fund its enforcement. And right there, in that disagreement, is a deeper issue. Where does the law actually live? Does it live in a statute book, or does it live in the politics of the moment? Because I can give you a line that cuts right through all of this. A system either runs on written law or it runs on political weather, and political weather can change every day. So now let's talk about when politics, media, and technology collide with one another, because it happens every day too. This is where modern America starts to feel very unstable. And here's the pattern. Tell me if you've seen this. Leave a comment and talk about it. A document drops. Maybe it's a leak. Maybe it's a screenshot, a referral, a clip. It doesn't arrive with any kind of context. It arrives with momentum. Someone reads it into a microphone. Not carefully, not slowly, but dramatically. And suddenly you don't have information, you have a story. Then comes the headline, right? Not a claim that's logged, not a reviewed request, but something that sounds very much like a verdict. And before anyone has asked what the underlying record actually is, the crowd has already formed a court of opinion. And that's where standards matter, ladies and gentlemen, because standards are what slow down the crowd. So let's apply this to a real headline that's in the news this week. A House panel is considering criminal referrals involving Bill and Hillary Clinton. Dun, da, da, da. There's the headline. Now let's define that carefully. A criminal referral. It's not a charge. It's not a case. It's not a verdict. It is a request. One part of the government telling another part of the government, hey, we think this might be worth reviewing here. Think of it like a doorbell. You ring it, right? The person inside decides whether to answer or not. The Department of Justice can decline, it can review, it can ask for more information, it can open an inquiry, or in rare cases, it can move right towards charges. And none of that is automatic, by the way. So when people hear referral and they jump straight to handcuffs, finally, well, they're skipping the entire system. And that system exists for one reason: to protect the innocent and to make sure that the guilty can actually be proven guilty in court. Now, let me give you the mental image that protects you from being played, because that's what the radical media and the liberal agenda want. They want to play you. They want to play your emotions. Picture a warehouse, okay? Row after row of shelves. And what people mean when they say it's in the files, it's kind of what an image of a warehouse is. It's in the files. Well, where? Look at all of these boxes in this warehouse. All of these files. Inside that warehouse, you'll find different kinds of material. You'll find evidence, things that can be tested and verified. Good. You'll find statements. It's what somebody says happened, okay? Tips, something that someone heard. Summaries, that's what investigators do when they write down what they were told by a witness or whatever. There's contact lists, names and addresses and so forth. And then there's redactions, the famous black boxes, missing context. All of that can sit in the same building, but it does not carry the same weight. So I'll say this very cleanly, ladies and gentlemen. A claim written down is not the same as a claim proven. A name in a document is not the same as a crime. And a rumor logged by an investigator is not the same thing as evidence. Now, here's the ladder that keeps a republic from becoming a rumor mill. I call the ladder the evidence ladder. And I'll list it from the weakest rung of the ladder all the way up to the strongest. You ready? Here's the rungs of the evidence ladder: tip, allegation, statement, document, corroboration, charge, conviction. Now, most viral claims that we see on the internet live at the very bottom of that list, on the weakest rungs. The internet, though, treats them like they live at the very top, at the conviction stage. Now, let's apply the same standard to everyone. Trump, the Clintons, any politician, any public figure. If you demand proof when it's your side, but you demand action when it's the other side, then what you actually believe in, ladies and gentlemen, is not justice. It's advantage. So I'll make this uncomfortable for all of us, okay? If a system can be bent to destroy someone famous, it can be bent to destroy someone who we've never heard of. That's why the burden of proof doesn't belong to the accused. It belongs to the accuser. Now, let's talk about the crowd. Some people would call it a mob, because that's where countries don't usually fall in dramatic fashion. It's not like the movies where a mob just overruns the government. Most countries fall by a slow, steady drift. They drift when proof feels slow, when process feels inconvenient, and when pressure feels powerful. See, a crowd doesn't have a conscience. A crowd has momentum, and momentum can feel like righteousness until it becomes something else. That's why the founders didn't build a system that runs on speed, ladies and gentlemen. They built a system that runs on verification. They didn't trust passion, the founding fathers. They trusted process. And I'll give you the line that should stick with you forever from here on out. A nation can survive disagreement. America was designed with disagreement in mind. But a nation cannot survive mob rule. All right, so let's bring this home, because this isn't about Washington, D.C., ladies and gentlemen. This is about us, we the people. Every day you are handed claims, clips, screenshots, breaking news banners, news files, and you're invited to react before you understand. Some would say that you're encouraged to react. You're trained to react by the algorithm itself. So here's your citizen's compass. 3 quiet questions to protect your freedom. When things like this happen, when news drops, okay, the first question: what is this really that I'm looking at? Is it a fact? Is it a claim? Is it an opinion? Is it a summary? Second question you should ask: who benefits if I believe this right away? If I believe this immediately, who's going to benefit from my belief? Somebody going to benefit from the attention I get, from the influence, the outrage that I exhibit? And the third question is, what would it take to prove this? You know, because you look at documents, you look at witnesses, corroboration process, the things that are required to prove something. And you can't answer those. If you can't, then the most honest position that you can take, if you can't answer any of those questions, is to simply say, I don't know yet. And that is not weakness, ladies and gentlemen. That is discipline. Because every time you slow yourself down, and every time you refuse to share something that you haven't tested, every time that you ask a better question instead of picking a louder side, every time you do those things, you're doing something quietly powerful. You're defending the culture of proof. And a culture of proof is the soil that a republic grows in. Not slogans, not slides, not a side, which side you're on, blue or red, not trends, standards. So let me end where I began, my friends. I'm not asking you to trust politicians. I'm not asking you to trust podcasters. I'm asking you to trust standards. Because standards protect victims by making cases strong enough to survive court. That's what we all want. Standards protect the innocent by making accusations prove themselves. And standards protect the country by keeping power out of the hands of whoever can generate the most outrage. If you believe that this still matters, if you believe that a republic is worth the patience that it demands, you're in the right place here, ladies and gentlemen. You're in the right place being here on the right side. And if you like this content, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Head over there and search The Right Side Doug Billings on YouTube. The Right Side Doug Billings. Follow me on X, follow me on Truth Social, Facebook, all of that. But subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the red bell over there so that you can get notified when new content drops from me. We're in this together, ladies and gentlemen. You need to believe that. Please, God bless you. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, Doug Billings. Hey, my good friends at EMP Shield, that's electromagnetic pulse, in case you're from Raytown, Missouri. Electromagnetic pulse could wipe out your home electrical system, could wipe out your vehicle. And thanks to the radical liberal agenda that was put forth under Administrator Biden and Vice Pretender Harris, there are lots of people in this country who want to do us harm. And maybe an EMP device would be their chosen weapon. But EMP Shield gives you a device that can protect you. This little baby here goes on your home outlets, a computer, a router, whatever you want to protect. And then they also have a larger model like this. You can still hold it in the palm of your hand that goes on your vehicle battery so that you can get out of trouble from point A to point B. EMPshield.com. Promo code Doug, ladies and gentlemen. Save yourself. Save your property. EMPshield.com. Promo code Doug. We're in this together, folks. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.